Facts about Mount Everest. 1. Height. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on the planet, with a height of 29,029 feet, 8,848.86 meters. 2. Name origin. The mountain was named after Sir George Everest, who led a British survey team that recognized it as the tallest mountain in the world in 1841. 3. Animal residence. Jumping spiders are the only animals permanently based on Mount Everest, hiding in nooks and crevices on the slopes at an altitude of 6,700 meters, 22,000 feet. 4. Local names. Mount Everest is known as Chomolungma in Tibetan, meaning Goddess Mother of the World, and as Sagarmatha in Nepali, which means Peak of Heaven. 5. Discrepancy in elevation. There is disagreement over the exact elevation of Mount Everest due to variations in snow level, gravity deviation, and light refraction. In 2020, China and Nepal jointly declared its elevation to be 29,031.69 feet, 8,848.86 meters. 6. Other high peaks. Despite being the tallest mountain above sea level, Mount Everest is not the highest peak on Earth when measured from base to summit. Mauna Kea in Hawaii holds that distinction, as most of the mountain sits below the surface of the ocean. 7. Climbing records. Kami Rita Sherpa holds the record for the most summits of Mount Everest, with 27 successful climbs, the most recent one in 2022. 8. Aviation. Civil aviation aircraft can fly at altitudes of 8,000 to 10,000 meters, and flying over Mount Everest is not a problem for a plane, though most don't due to the increased risk of turbulence over high mountains. 9. Environmental impact. With more and more people visiting it each year, Mount Everest has grown increasingly polluted, leading to the contamination of the local watershed, which threatens the health of local people. 10. Climbing challenges. Climbers burn over 10,000 calories each climbing day, double that on the summit climb, and they will lose 10 to 20 pounds during the expedition. 11. People have gotten married at the top of Mount Everest. In 2005, 2 Nepalese climbers became the first couple in history to get married on the summit of the world's highest mountain. Moni Mulpeshi and Pem Doje successfully reached in the summit and held a short 10-minute ceremony at the top. They had kept this plan a secret, as their success of reaching the summit was not guaranteed. In 2017, a couple from California also got married on Everest. However, this ceremony took place at base camp and not on the summit. 12. Everest has its own fascinating mystery story. While Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay are famously known for being the first to reach the summit, an interesting event occurred before this. In 1924, 2 men called George Mallory and Andrew Irvine launched an attempt to reach the peak. However, their expedition was ill-fated. They were last seen progressing up the mountain, not far from the summit, before disappearing. George Mallory's remains were found 75 years later, while Andrew Irvine's have never been located. It is not known whether they actually reached the summit or not, and this is a topic of much research and debate. Number of people who have climbed Mount Everest. As of the most recent data available, a total of 6,664 different people have successfully reached the summit of Mount Everest, with a total of 11,996 summits recorded. It's worth noting that some climbers have reached the summit multiple times, so the number of summits is higher than the number of individual climbers. The number of people who have perished while attempting to climb Mount Everest is 327. Kami Rita Sherpa of Nepal holds the record for the most number of successful summits, having reached the summit 26 times. The number of summits by different climbers is as follows. Nepal, 1,756 summits. USA, 748 summits. India, 526 summits. It's important to consider that climbing Mount Everest requires extensive preparation, training, and often the guidance of professional climbers. The cost to join Mount Everest climbing expeditions can be over $75,000, and climbers need to hire professional guides for the ascent. The climbing of Mount Everest has seen a significant increase in interest over the years, with many mountaineers attempting the challenge. However, it's also important to note that the mountain presents significant risks, and climbers need to be well prepared and experienced to undertake such a feat. It's also worth mentioning that the death rate for climbers has remained relatively unchanged at around 1% since 1990, and recent deaths on Everest have been attributed to a lack of experience and overcrowding. Overall, the climbing of Mount Everest is a remarkable and challenging endeavor that requires careful planning, training, and respect for the risks involved. These facts provide a glimpse into the fascinating and unique characteristics of Mount Everest, the highest point on Earth. Weather on Mount Everest. The weather on Mount Everest is extreme and can vary significantly depending on the altitude and time of year. Here are some key insights into the weather conditions on the world's highest peak. Extreme conditions. Mount Everest experiences extreme weather conditions, with temperatures dropping to as low as -38 degrees Celsius and wind speeds reaching over 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour. High wind speeds. The summit of Everest is often blasted by winds over 100 miles per hour due to its height, which causes it to stick up into the jet stream, resulting in very windy and cold conditions. Weather stations. In May 2019, the National Geographic and Rolex Mount Everest expedition supported the installation of the highest weather station in the world, providing valuable insights into the weather near the summit. The station is perched on the southeast ridge of Everest at a height of 8,430 meters, 27,657 feet. Temperature variations. The weather forecast for Mount Everest indicates extremely cold temperatures, with the maximum temperature reaching as low as -21 degrees Celsius and the minimum temperature dropping to -39 degrees Celsius. Impact of global heating. Scientists are using data from the world's highest weather station to gain insights into the effects of global heating at high elevations, making the study of Everest's weather crucial for climate research. Wind patterns and cloud formation. The unique morphology of Mount Everest and its high winds contribute to the formation of specific cloud patterns, with the mountain projecting into the jet stream, affecting wind speed and cloud formation. The weather on Mount Everest presents significant challenges for climbers and researchers alike, with its extreme cold, high winds, and unique atmospheric conditions. Please press the YouTube icon, or click on the link below to hear the poem called Mount Everest.